Senior men over 60, there are 5 important reasons to think carefully before having a girlfriend. If you are a man over 60, listen closely for a few minutes. Not because something is wrong with you, and not because you failed at anything, but because at this stage of life, clarity matters more than noise. Most men your age have already lived several full lives. You've worked, provided, and carried responsibility quietly for decades. You've spent most of your adult life solving problems for others. And now, whether you openly admit it or not, what you're really searching for is relief. Relief from pressure. Relief from expectations. Relief from emotional weight. Yet many men over 60 make a mistake they don't see coming. They believe the greatest threat is being alone. They fear quiet evenings, empty homes, or too much silence. But the truth is, the most damaging mistake at this age is often allowing the wrong relationship into your life and slowly losing the peace you spent your entire life earning. This isn't about bitterness, and it isn't about rejecting connection. It's about understanding how priorities change with age, and why wisdom after 60 looks very different from wisdom at 30. After 60, life is no longer about proving anything. You don't need to impress, compete, or perform. Your value is already established. What matters now is protecting your health, your time, your finances, and your emotional balance. These are no longer renewable resources. This is where many men misunderstand romantic relationships at this stage. They assume companionship will automatically bring comfort, stability, and happiness. Sometimes it does, but often it brings pressure disguised as affection. One uncomfortable truth is that peace becomes more valuable than emotional engagement. When you're younger, emotional intensity can feel exciting. Long conversations, emotional highs and lows, passionate disagreements, dramatic reconciliations. Younger bodies and nervous systems can tolerate that. Older ones cannot. After decades of work stress, family duties, and responsibility, most men reach a point where calm becomes essential, not optional. Modern relationships often demand constant emotional presence. Listening, reassuring, validating, explaining, resolving, adjusting. Over time, companionship quietly turns into emotional labor. You find yourself managing moods that aren't yours, fixing problems you didn't create, and adjusting your behavior to maintain emotional balance. At first, it feels like connection. The attention feels good. The conversations feel alive. But gradually, expectations grow. Silence starts to feel like an issue. Independence is labeled as distance. The calm you worked so hard to build becomes something you're expected to explain or defend. This kind of emotional pull drains energy in subtle ways. It shows up as poor sleep, irritability, tension, and fatigue. Your peace begins to feel conditional. At this stage of life, peace is no longer a luxury. It's directly tied to your health. Blood pressure, heart health, immune function, and mental clarity are all affected by emotional stability. When emotional engagement turns into obligation, the cost is paid quietly, day after day. Many senior men tolerate this longer than they should because attention feels better than silence. After years of feeling overlooked or invisible, being wanted can feel energizing. But attention is temporary. Emotional volatility always comes with a price. Chosen silence is often far healthier than emotional turbulence disguised as intimacy. Over time, many men realize they are no longer receiving calm from the relationship. They are supplying it. That imbalance slowly erodes well-being. Another reality is that romantic relationships create financial risk without recovery time. This is rarely discussed honestly, yet it matters deeply after 60. Income is often fixed. Retirement savings are meant for stability, healthcare, and freedom, not experimentation. Financial pressure doesn't always appear as direct requests. It shows up quietly through dinners out, weekend trips, gifts, shared expenses, and social expectations. Many men feel an unspoken obligation to provide and maintain a certain lifestyle. Providing has been part of their identity for decades, but after 60, every financial decision carries more weight. There's no long runway to recover from poor choices. If savings shrink, they don't easily grow back. Emergency buffers disappear silently. If the relationship ends, the financial impact often remains long after the emotional connection is gone. Financial stress at this age affects more than money. It affects sleep, health, and peace of mind. Security creates freedom. Knowing you can handle medical costs, unexpected expenses, or simply live without worry brings deep calm. Romantic appearances fade quickly. Stability lasts. Loss of autonomy is another underestimated cost. Before a relationship, your time truly belongs to you. You wake when you want, eat what suits you, structure your day around your energy and needs. You enjoy silence without explanation. These routines become more important as the body ages. When a girlfriend enters your life, autonomy often erodes slowly. Schedules shift, routines bend. Alone time becomes something that requires discussion. Even silence may be misinterpreted. Many men accept this as the natural price of companionship without realizing what they're losing. At this stage, freedom isn't indulgence. It's a foundation for mental and physical health. Older bodies depend on predictability, regular sleep, familiar routines, quiet mornings. Disruptions affect the nervous system more intensely than they once did. What used to feel flexible can now feel destabilizing. Over time, the relationship that was meant to bring comfort can begin to feel confining, not because anyone intended harm, but because needs and expectations no longer align. Many men feel guilty wanting space. They worry that valuing autonomy makes them selfish. But after 60, control over time and environment supports health in real measurable ways. When autonomy fades, resentment and exhaustion quietly take its place. There's also a growing mismatch between modern relationship dynamics and older men's nature. This isn't stubbornness, it's generational wiring. Many men over 60 grew up in a time when space was normal and silence was respected. Constant communication wasn't expected. A man could go about his day without checking in and still be considered caring. Stability was shown through consistency and reliability, not continuous emotional expression. Modern dating culture often expects constant communication, immediate responses, and ongoing emotional availability. Calm can be mistaken for boredom. Independence may be seen as emotional distance. For many older men, this feels unnatural and draining. It pressures them to abandon habits that have supported their peace and health for years. Over time, small adjustments pile up. Boundaries soften. Authenticity gives way to emotional performance. Resentment builds quietly. Emotional stability is rarely rewarded in modern dating. It's often misunderstood. Older men can find themselves choosing between pretending to be someone they're not or being criticized for being exactly who they are. Neither path leads to peace. Finally, romance is often mistaken as the cure for loneliness. Loneliness is real, but after 60, it's rarely about the absence of a romantic partner. More often, it comes from lack of structure, purpose, or meaningful engagement with life. Many men believe a girlfriend will fill an emotional gap. Sometimes it does briefly. But when a relationship becomes the main source of fulfillment, it also becomes fragile. When expectations aren't met, disappointment replaces comfort. Emotional dependence increases vulnerability instead of reducing it. True fulfillment at this stage comes from self-respect, autonomy, health, and meaningful daily routines, purpose-driven activities, friendships based on mutual respect, quiet mornings, predictable days. These nourish well-being in ways romance often cannot. When happiness no longer depends on someone else's mood, a man becomes grounded and steady. This isn't isolation, it's emotional independence. And emotional independence is one of the greatest freedoms after 60. Avoiding romantic entanglement doesn't mean rejecting love. It means redefining it. Connection doesn't need constant negotiation. Companionship doesn't require sacrifice of peace. Respect doesn't require dependency. As life enters its later chapters, priorities shift naturally. The need to prove fades. What remains is the desire to live with dignity and calm. Many older men stay in relationships not because they are happy, but because they fear being alone. But chosen solitude isn't loneliness. It's control over your time, your space, and your rhythm. The most peaceful men after 60 are rarely chasing romance. They are protecting their energy. They choose calm over chaos, quality over intensity, peace over performance. They understand that the value of a relationship isn't measured by how much attention it brings, but by how little peace it costs. This doesn't mean rejecting all connection. It means being selective. Time is limited. Health is fragile. Emotional energy is finite. Anyone allowed into your life should add to it, not consume it. The most honest question becomes simple. Does this bring peace, or does it bring pressure? When the answer is pressure, walking away isn't failure. It's wisdom, not with anger or bitterness, but with clarity. Because the most important relationship you'll ever have after 60 is the one you build with your own peace. When that relationship is strong, everything else becomes optional. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I wish you the very best on your journey.